When it comes to your transformation, you actually have a few options. There's no one way to do it. If you're skinny or skinny fat to begin with, you might want to go and bulk, and then once you've bulked up and you've got some more muscle mass, then strip down and get shredded and go on a cut. The opposite end, if you've got lots of fat to lose, you might want to just go on a cut, basically lose loads of fat, and then bulk. So you have both of those options, but what most people don't know is you can actually do both at the same time. You can build muscle and lose fat at the same time. That is an option, that is a shortcut, and in my view, that's a better way to get towards your goal of obviously having a better body composition. So this is known as a body recomposition, and I'm going to give you 3 very simple steps to follow to achieve a body recomposition. So make sure you watch this video until the end. If this is your first time coming across a body recomposition, you might be thinking to yourself, this sounds impossible, because after all, you need a calorie deficit to lose fat, and you also need a surplus or excess energy to build muscle, to fuel that muscle growth. But it's been proven in the literature that body recompositions can take place, and also anecdotally, I've experienced it myself and with my clients as well. There are, however, a few scenarios where you can actually take advantage of a body recomposition, and one is being a beginner, just a straight up beginner. Number 2, you obviously have to have some body fat to lose. Number 2, where you actually got to have a fair amount of fat to lose. Number 3 could be a detrained scenario, something like you've been injured and you've come back to training, or you've had some time off for whatever reason, you've come back to training. And number 4, you've never actually taken training that seriously. You've had periods of being on and off. In all scenarios, you obviously have to have body fat to lose. If you follow the 3 steps I'm about to go over, you can build muscle and lose fat at the same time and achieve that body recomposition. Step number 1, set up your nutrition. This is the most important part, the most important piece to this puzzle. I mean, the training is obviously important, but your nutrition needs to be set up correctly. You need to be in a calorie deficit to lose fat. If you're in too high of a calorie deficit, you'll end up losing muscle, or at least impairing your muscle growth. So you need to make sure that that's set up appropriately. And bear in mind, when it comes to body recomposition, largely if you've got excess body fat, which you should do to even be considering this, then you'll use that body fat for fuel, to fuel the muscle growth. So the calorie deficit you have to be in to experience a body recomposition doesn't have to be that high, especially if you've got not much fat to lose. If you've got not much fat to lose, say you're skinny fat, you've got a little bit of fat to lose, you can do that with, I'd say, a calorie deficit of 5 to 10%. If you've got more fat to lose, you can go as high as 15 to 20%, but that's kind of where the highest you should go. And what I actually recommend is starting at maintenance level calories, so your body weight in pounds times by 15. You can sit there for like 2 weeks, then see how your body adapts, and then create a slight deficit. And like I said, depending on where you are now, if you've got a lot of fat to lose, you can start straight with a 15% deficit, then eventually increase it to a 20%, or you could actually go more gradual. And if you don't have much fat to lose, you've got more of a skinny fat build, just start at the lower end, like I said. And then when you lose weight, you lose fat, then you can readjust those calories to fit your new needs. And then obviously the next, well, calories are extremely important. Protein is also extremely important because it supports and helps build muscle. So without enough protein, you'll end up losing muscle, you won't end up building enough muscle, and you won't do a body recomposition. So protein wise, 1 pound per gram, even 1 gram per pound of body weight. And if you're, I don't know, if you've got a lot of fat to lose, then 1 gram per pound of target body weight. So say if you want to weigh, you're currently 350 and you want to weigh 200, you can do 200 grams of protein a day. That should be sufficient. When it comes to carbs and fat, the split is less important. Step number 2, you want to make sure your training is optimized. Training is optimized to build the most amount of muscle. That means the general principles apply. You need to be sending a signal for your muscles to grow. And that means training each muscle group, I would say twice a week. And I'd say doing between 10 and 20 sets, maybe less if you're just starting out, but between 10 and 20 sets per muscle group per week. And taking those sets close enough to failure, I'd say between 1 and 3 reps shy of failure, finishing that set with 1 or 3 reps left, depending on the exercise. And when it comes to your actual training program, the split, I actually recommend here changing it up. Just the difference is going to give you some novel stimulus and encourage muscle growth. So if you've been doing a push-pull legs for ages, or then change it around, maybe change it around to like a full body. Or if you've been doing a full body for ages, then maybe change it around to doing a upper-lower split. Either way, change it up, especially if you're just starting this body recomposition. This will provide a novel stimulus, and novel stimuluses have been shown actually to build more muscle, especially, well, at least in the short term anyway, until your body adapts. It's not keeping the muscles guessing, but it's just giving that different split, this different way to target the muscles. The final step you take, this is just the cherry on the icing, nutrient timing. You should be doing it to some degree already, just naturally from what you've heard in the past, and maybe you've been following my videos or similar YouTube channels, basically just making sure you time your nutrients appropriately. So when it comes to protein, for example, you don't need to rush to get your protein shake in straight after your workout. And it's probably a good idea as well, if you haven't already been doing this anyway, to get a meal containing protein and carbs like within 2 to 3 hours before you train. This has been shown in the research to support your efforts in the gym. And also I would suggest spacing out your protein feeding. So the research has actually suggested that 3 protein feedings is probably the minimum, and 3 evenly distributed protein feedings is better than 3 just haphazardly distributed protein amounts. So say if you did a 10, 50 and 50, or 10, 60 and 70, it's better to distribute them out equally to say like 50, 50 and 50. That's been shown to increase muscle protein synthesis more, which is one of the key signals for the body to build muscle. On the other hand, if you're training fasted in the morning, I wouldn't worry too much about, well, I wouldn't worry at all about that pre-workout meal. What you can do is you can just make sure that you have, within 15 to 20 minutes after your workout, have a carb and protein feeding. I wouldn't even call it a meal, because what I like to do personally, and this seems to work the best in terms of my appetite, in terms of digestion, is have a protein shake, because protein shakes are fast digesting, fast absorbing, so it gets into the muscles faster, with something either like rice cakes and honey and a banana, so like 5 rice cakes, some honey on those rice cakes and banana on top of them, or a bowl of cereals, like a rice-based cereal, either Cocoa Pops or some other, I don't know, rice-based cereal. And what you can do there is mix up the shake in a shaker, pour the protein in, you can mix it with like coconut milk or like milk if you're fine with dairy. Pour it into the bowl, and then obviously into the bowl, and then you can add a chopped banana. Chopped banana means it's going to give you fructose basically, which is going to combine with the sucrose from the actual the cereal, and the multiple forms of carbohydrate, multiple sources, means it's going to basically absorb better I don't know what I was talking about there, but it's going to absorb better into the muscles and replenish your glycogen, replenish those carbohydrate stores more effectively. So that's something you can do, and it tastes great, it's easy to make, and yeah, that's really what I recommend post-workout. I've done a more in-depth video where you can actually drink, you can actually add carb powders to your shake. That's also an option if you have a small appetite after your workout. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to cover in this video. If you follow these 3 steps, you're going to build muscle and you're going to lose fat at the same time. You're going to take that shortcut, the shortcut you want to take. You don't want to lose fat and just be unhappy with your physique because you're skinny fat, or you're just skinny. You want to make sure you look the best you possibly can look, and that will help you keep the fat off in the long term as well. So if you haven't already, head over even to my Facebook group and join that for free. It's all about building muscle and losing body fat as well at the same time. So head on over, join that Facebook group. And if you haven't clicked that subscribe button, click it now. If you haven't hit the thumbs up, click that thumbs up now. And until the next video, keep pushing those limits.